mentioned that. Yeah, I gave up on trying to familiarize myself with the millions of documents that they've published over their like 15-year existence. But I did, I pulled up a few of the ones that I was previously familiar with that I was always really fond of. This one, I think this one is really important to me. And in an interview, I think I want to say it was with John Pilger. I think it was on RT. Julian Assange actually said that he thought that this was probably the most important email in the whole trove of Hillary Clinton emails that were published in 2016. Mm-hmm. And so if I scroll up, you see, so this was August 17th, 2014, from Hillary Rodham Clinton, and she's writing to John Podesta, who is a major influential figure in Washington. Mm-hmm. He was Hillary's campaign manager in 2016. And down here in point 4, she says, I don't really feel like reading this whole thing, but if you cut to the chase, she says, while this paramilitary operation is moving forward, we need to use our diplomatic and more traditional, that's stupid the way it does that, more traditional intelligence assets to bring pressure on the governments of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, which are providing clandestine financial and logistic support to ISIL. ISIL is just another name for ISIS, for anyone who doesn't know. It's Islamic State in Syria or Islamic State in Libya, but they're the same organization. So Qatar and Saudi Arabia, which are providing clandestine financial and logistic support to ISIL and other radical Sunni groups in the region. This effort will be enhanced by the stepped-up commitment in the KRG. The Qataris and Saudis will be put in a position of balancing policy between their ongoing competition to dominate the Sunni world and the consequences of serious U.S. pressure. By the same token, the threat of similar realistic U.S. operations will serve to assist moderate forces in Libya, Lebanon, and even Jordan, where insurgents are increasingly fascinated by the ISIL success in Iraq. So in an email from Hillary Clinton, who was previously Secretary of State under President Obama, almost became president, talking to John Podesta, she openly admits that not rogue factions of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, not like disgruntled princes in the Saudi royal family, but the actual governments of Qatar and Saudi Arabia are providing clandestine financial and logistic support to the Islamic State, ISIS and ISIL. Mm-hmm. And not only are both of these governments major U.S. allies in the Middle East, the U.S. sells hundreds of billions of dollars worth of arms to these countries. So it's no surprise then, among other reasons, but this one not being the least of them, that ISIS has frequently been seen running around with U.S. military equipment.
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the last thing. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. By the same token, the threat of similar realistic U.S. operations will serve to assist moderate forces in Libya, Lebanon, and even Jordan, where insurgents are increasingly fascinated by the ISIL success in Iraq. So basically groups, I'm going to try to paraphrase this, and correct me if I'm wrong. She's saying that it was similar moderate forces, similar to ISIS forces in Libya, Lebanon, and even Jordan, would be targets of U.S. assistance. Is that what you read? Sorry, I'm trying to focus in on how bad what she's saying here is.
The latter part's a little confusing. The big takeaway is that she's fully acknowledging that the U.S.'s own allies, to whom the U.S. sells hundreds of billions of dollars worth of arms to, are actually supporting ISIS and ISIL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in this last sentence, I think she's saying that U.S. operations will assist forces in Libya, Lebanon, and even Jordan, that are basically very similar to ISIS, to ISIL.
I think what she's saying there, it's a little confusing the way it's all worded, but I think what she's saying is she actually wants to support the moderate forces there instead of the insurgents in those areas who are increasingly fascinated by the ISIL success in Iraq.
That's interesting. Yeah. So I guess in the end, if this could be your opinion, or if you have it straight from Assange, why did he say that this was the most important email?
Because at this time, so somewhat interestingly, we basically stopped talking about ISIS and ISIL over the last few years.
Yep.
But at the time, ISIS and 2014, ISIS and ISIL were, well, they're the same thing. I'm going to stop saying them both. ISIS was the big, bad, awful threat to the whole world. It was the thing that we constantly heard about on the news. It was the new Al Qaeda, basically. And Hillary Clinton, who was previously the Secretary of State under President Barack Obama, is in this email admitting that we know Qatar and Saudi Arabia were funding and providing support for ISIS. Qatar and Saudi Arabia both being allies to the U.S. and both being provided with, again, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of arms by the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So this terrible terrorist organization who literally cuts people's heads off and films it and posts it on YouTube, they're being supported by U.S. allies to whom the U.S. is selling a whole shitload of military equipment.
Right. Yeah. So the U.S. our
indirectly
the history of the U.S. If you're a U.S. ally, you're getting a shitload of money from the U.S. We're supporting you.
Yeah.
So typically, so we're sending arms, money, etc., all this stuff to Qatar and Saudi Arabia, who in turn is funding ISIS, which is why this is so bad.
Yeah. And ISIS was just running around like a cancer at the time, destabilizing the Middle East. Most notably, probably in Iraq, where ISIS, was in a position to maybe take over the whole country, but then also in Syria and Libya as well, and being supported by the U.S.'s own allies.
Yeah.